Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. We're coming to you live this Tuesday, the 15th day of July, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Julie Dondon Patidongan, or Totoy, has filed administrative complaints against 12 police officers for the disappearance of several Sabungeros. The officers were also allegedly involved in the Duterte administration's drug war, prompting a Department of Justice investigation into the connection. The House Prosecution Panel is confident the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte is constitutional, despite a recent Supreme Court notice requiring the House to respond to a petition from Duterte's camp aimed at stopping the trial. And the Philippine government is demanding over 11 million pesos in damages from China after one of its vessels destroyed coral reefs near Pag-asa Island. According to the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development, a Chinese maritime militia vessel caused the damage when it ran aground due to bad weather on June 7. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda. Alias Totoy has filed administrative complaints against 12 police officers allegedly involved in the disappearance of several Sabungeros. He also claims they are linked to the Duterte administration's war on drugs. Here is a report.
Kahit sinong tao, pag ang pinag-usapan dito, pamilya, wala akong katatakutan sa kanila.
Julie Dondon Patidongan, also known as Totoy, could no longer hold back his emotions at the National Police Commission or NAPOLCOM office in Quezon City. He formally filed administrative complaints against 12 retired and active police officers allegedly involved in the disappearance of several Sabungeros. Among those named is Colonel Ryan J. Orapa. Totoy claimed that Orapa led the police group that abducted Sabungeros and allegedly received 2 million pesos per month to carry out the operations.
Itong mga pulis na to, sila ang kumukuha ng mga missing Sabungero galing sa farm. Sila ang nagdadala doon sa Taalik.
Totoy, also named former NCRPO Chief Jonel Estomo, claiming that the official ordered his assassination.
Si General Estomo, siya ay membro ng ALPA. Si General Estomo, isa yan na nag-udyok kay Mr. Atong Ang na, boss, patayin mo na si Dondon Patidongan para matapos na yung problema mo na yan.
The officers named in Totoy's complaint were also allegedly involved in the Duterte administration's drug war. He insisted that no one is manipulating him to destroy the former administration or to falsely implicate Atong Ang, whom he identified as the mastermind. The Department of Justice has launched its own investigation into the possible connection between police involved in the drug war killings and the missing Sabungeros.
I think that the death squads might intersect more on the death squads. The people who undertake the contractual killings may intersect somehow with the drug war and with the Isabong. Same, may mga taong parehong involved sa pagpatay ng tao sa drug war at sa Isabong.
As of now, diving operations continue in Taal Lake in search of the bodies of the missing Sabungeros. According to the DOJ, the case has grown stronger following the recovery of human bones. However, they emphasized that the process must not be rushed, as proper DNA procedures are essential to ensure accurate identification.
Tumitibay naman. At talagang hindi lang ganun kadali yung panahon pa ngayon. Tsaka nakita nyo naman yung mga nakuha nyong video, malabo talaga ang tubig, hindi ganun kadali maghanap.
The Philippine government is seeking over 11 million in damages from China after a Chinese vessel destroyed coral reefs near Pag-asa Island in the West Philippine Sea. Video from the Philippine Coast Guard shows a parachute-style anchor canopy tangled around reefs about 9 meters underwater, causing significant environmental damage. The PCG insists that China must be held accountable.
So we're hopeful that through the Department of Foreign Affairs, we can be able to reach out to them and to present to them the damages that they incurred because of that grounding incident.
The Palawan Council for Sustainable Development says the damage was caused by a Chinese maritime militia vessel that ran aground on June 7 due to bad weather. Initial assessment revealed that the ship's dragging anchor damaged more than 464 square meters, or about 30% of the coral cover in the area.
The parachute itself is not an illegal act,
Right.
no, but the misuse or the well, let's just say the incident that happened caused the dragging of the chute, no, so, and it's still causing damage up to now.
President Bongbong Marcos recorded a significant increase in public trust. Now, that's according to the latest social weather station survey. In the survey, the president's trust rating climbed to 48%, a 10% point jump from the previous month. Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte maintained a high level of public trust, with her rating inching up from 60% in May to 61% in June. The survey was conducted in the last week of June amid heated discussions over the delayed impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. Meanwhile, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas will impose stricter rules on digital payments for online gambling amid rising concerns over access by minors and vulnerable individuals. Under a draft circular, payment service providers, or PSPs, must enforce spending caps, time limits, and facial biometric checks before processing gambling transactions. Users will be required to set up a separate online gambling transaction account, capped at 20% of their average daily balance and 6 hours of use per day. Loan features must be disabled, and excessive use will trigger a 24-hour cooldown. Gambling operators must also meet strict licensing and anti-money laundering requirements to partner with financial institutions. Non-compliant PSPs may face suspension or fines of up to 1 million pesos. A Chinese national was arrested at NAIA Terminal 3 on July 13 for allegedly using a fake Filipino identity to run a business in Metro Manila. The Bureau of Immigration identified the suspect as 43-year-old Wang Xiu-jun, who arrived from Kuala Lumpur. Wang was allegedly posing as Kasha Palma Polikit and operating an electric vehicle business using a Philippine passport and birth certificate issued through late registration. Fingerprint analysis by the National Bureau of Investigation confirmed she and Polikit are the same person. She is currently detained by the BI pending deportation proceedings. The case has drawn comparisons to former Bamban Mayor Alice Go, who was also found to be a Chinese national using a Filipino identity. Let's move on over to weather. The southwest monsoon continues to affect large parts of the country. That's according to Pag-asa. Cloudy skies and scattered rain showers and thunderstorms are expected over western Visayas, central Visayas, the Negros Island region, Zamboanga Peninsula, northern Mindanao, Caraga region, Davao region, Occidental Mindoro, Romblon, Palawan, and southern Leyte. Meanwhile, Metro Manila and the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms. Pag-asa is also monitoring a tropical depression located outside the Philippine area of responsibility. It was last spotted 1,925 kilometers east-northeast of extreme northern Luzon. Coming up, we will talk to Justice Secretary Boying Remulla to get more details on the case of missing Sabungeros. All that and more when Morning Matters returns. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Just to recap, after 2 straight days of finding bone-laden sacks at the bottom of the Taal Lake, Coast Guard divers have yet to find more. Diving was suspended on Monday after the search yielded no new discovery. Still some good news though. The remote operated vehicle, or ROV, which can take underwater pictures and video, arrived at the command center in Taal. This will be used to help scour Taal's lake bed, also minimizing dive time for PCG personnel. As for the recovered bones, the PNP says the sacks contained a mix of animal and human remains. Now, this evidence are currently undergoing further examination to distinguish one from the other. To discuss this and more and the case of missing Sabungeros, we have Justice Secretary Boying Remulla joining us on Morning Matters today. Magandang umaga po sa iyo, Secretary. Welcome to our program.
Good morning, Gretchen, and good morning to all our viewers.
Secretary, simulan po natin dito sa search sa Taal Lake. Kamusta naman po? Ano po yung latest findings? As we know, there were sacks of human and animal remains. What have you picked up so far?
It's going to be a long process, Gretchen. It's not going to happen overnight and then suddenly everything is done. Mahaba-habang hanapan to, and we just have to be patient with the daily routine that we will have to undertake for the next few months. Because after all, Gretchen, we've been on this for the last 3 years. 3 taon na namin iniintay ang pagkakataon na matapos at matuklasan ang lahat tungkol dito sa missing Sabungeros at hindi tayo matitinag at tuloy-tuloy ang ating paghahanap ng mga gabi ng mga nawawalang Sabungeros.
Okay. Medyo malaki-laki po itong Taal Lake, ano? I mean,
236 square kilometers.
Yes, what would make the evidence conclusive? Like, how far
Kasi
are you
yan
willing to go?
pointed out sa amin yung fish pond list, kung sino yung nag-list ng fish pond, at kung saan una dinadala ang mga tao. At yun, doon naman tayo naghahanap kung saan tayo itinuro ng testigo. At ang mas mahalaga siguro ay imamapa pa natin yung lake bed na yan at maghahanap tayo ng stratification ng iba't ibang sediment layer. Kung pwede, hahanapin natin yung sediment layers kasi nakailang putok ang Taal mula 2019, di ba? 2016 pa lang pumuputok ito yung Taal. Kaya marami tayong sediment layers na dapat hukayin at halukayin at imapa para maging mahanap natin at mabuo natin ang paghahanap dito sa mga nawawalang Sabungero.
Nabanggit niyo po itong fish pond lease, no? Sino po ang nagmamay-ari nitong fish pond?
Ang may-ari kasi dyan, ang nagbibigay ng lease sa fish pond ay mga munisipyo. Mga munisipyo na saklaw ng Taal Lake. So iba-iba mga munisipyo yan na nariyan. Kasama na ang Laurel at iba pa mga munisipyo na siyang may jurisdiction sa lake waters.
So officially po, sino po yung nag-lease? Meron po bang specific
Isang munisipyo yan. One of the municipality officers.
So ibig sabihin, pinayagan po?
Meron talagang list yan alam mo, you have to put method into the madness. Kasi siyempre, kung di mo i-manage ang resources, magkakagulo, mag-aagawan yan. So, usually in charge na dyan. Parang Laguna Lake, may Laguna Lake Development Authority. Ang Taal, wala pa tayong Development Authority. Pero, minamanage yan ng munisipyo basta shoreline nila.
Pero how would you think they were able to get access? I mean, this particular group, yung Lucky 8 po, no?
Kasi ang isang fish pond list, isang lessor dito, Leslie, ay isang kilala ni, alam ni Totoy, ni Katotoy, yung holder ng list.
Okay. Ito pong mga human remains at animal remains, how do we expect to find information? Kasi parang ang tagal na rin po kung 3 years na po yun nandoon.
Gretchen, we are calling on the families to give DNA samples. We're establishing a DNA bank among those who have missing relatives. And later on, we will have a separate team document many of those who disappeared during the drug war within the area from Metro Manila to Region 4. Titingnan din natin yung mga nawawala, mga ibang taong nawawala sa drug war. Baka dito nag-i-intersect talaga ang lahat ng dapat hanapin na tao.
Okay, because may access po dito sa fish pond na nabanggit po ninyo. Ano po ito? I mean, could it be more than the case of the 34 missing Sabungeros? Kumbaga parang regular po ba ito na tambakan, tapunan? Or talagang itong specific case lang yung tinitignan po natin dito?
Ano yan eh, yung nga, kasi nga Gretchen, sinabi na nga natin na nagkaroon na nga ng intersection yung drug war tsaka itong isabong deaths yung mga nawawala. Yung drug war disappearances at yung isabong disappearances ay parang nag-intersect yan. Kaya may mga common players within the two sets of untimely deaths or untimely disappearances of these people.
Ibig sabihin ho, maaring, I mean, there could have been drug war victims here, dumped
It
here.
also is
apart
possible. No? We're not discounting the possibility. Kasi nga, nagkaroon tayo ng occasion sa May Kawayan, no, kung saan nahuli ng NBI and drug suspects who happen to be somehow involved also in Isabong. Kaya yan ang ating, kasi arito yung nahuli ng NBI sa May Kawayan noon ay mga police informant, mga police assets, at sila yung nahuli ng NBI yung panahon na yun.
Okay. Maaari niyo po bang mapaliwanag pa ng mas malalim kung paano po yung naging intersection na nakikita po ninyo dito nga po
Well,
sa kasong ito?
common players lang.
Oo.
May mga death squad talaga, may mga tao talaga, hanap buhay nilang to get rid of people. Yun ang problema. Meron talagang tao na yan ang naging trabaho nung panahon na yun. Yun, that's it. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Si Julie Patidongan already filed an administrative complaint before NAPOLCOM naming about 9 police officers, but there were 12 in his complaint. But you mentioned about 15 that you're looking at. How is the case build up? And why have some names been left out?
Our teams are on the job. They are meeting regularly. And we are evaluating everything as they arrive to us. So, yung lahat ng evidence na nakikita namin, na binibigay sa amin, na-evaluate natin. Kasi nga, ang trabaho namin is really to prepare for the prosecution of the suspects here. Yun talaga yung aming pinaghahandaan.
And when it comes to the police officers, ano pong involvement po kaya nila? Ito po ba ay regular or sila po ay parang for hire lamang?
There was a regular police conductor na identify namin. And that person is really suspected of the one running the show dito. He was based in Calabarzon at that time. And he was part of the intelligence operatives of Calabarzon for a long time. Kaya na-zero in na namin to. He's a police colonel. He's a lieutenant colonel.
Ito po ba ay napangalanan na ni Julie Patidongan? I mean,
Yes,
siya po ba si
yes.
Police Colonel Jacinto Malinaw Jr.?
Hindi. Iba pa yan.
Iba pa.
That guy, Malinaw, was the Batangas police director previously, ngayon lang, no? But he was also with the CIDG. But he appears to be in the papers that Julie Patidongan possesses, that points out to how people were paid and how the payroll was structured. And that payroll included Mr. Malinaw.
Oo. Maaari po mo malaman.
In fact, Mr. Malinaw was
Sige po.
even part of the team of the CIDG that arrested Patidongan and company when there was a warrant of arrest issued by the RTC. Kaya hindi malayo na tama yung information natin.
Oo. Sino po yung police colonel na nabanggit yun na the regular police contractor?
Wag na natin pangalanan muna kasi we're doing the case.
Sige po. All right. When we talk about all of these officers, I mean, are you seeing a particular structure of how they operated?
Well, it seemed to be, it had become a regular business of killing people for many of them. Ito naman yung mga bad eggs naman to ng PNP, hindi naman to lahat ng police. Pero yun nga, we are identifying them kasi we have to deal with reality on the ground, we have to deal with reality as we govern this country, na talagang dapat linisin natin ang ranks ng ating mga kapulisan at ng mga taong gumagawa ng hindi mabuti sa ating lipunan. Talaga yun.
Were some of these policemen also Alpha members?
Wala akong alam, but probably more on the Charlie Delta level na sila. Hindi sila umabot sa Alpha.
And how much money went around these policemen?
Maraming pera yan. At, yung main contractor was getting 500,000 per person disposed of. Yung isang bawat taong pinapatay was being paid, itong police contractor na to, 500,000 pesos.
Pag nakapatay po, pag nakapatay.
Pagka tinurn over yan at na-accomplish na yung gagawin nila, yun, binabayaran sila.
Wow. What has led the Department of Justice? I mean, to be able to solidify ito pong case build-up po ninyo, ano po yung crucial in terms of testimonial or evidence, pieces of evidence?
Well, ang una-una
the
dito naman yung
testimonies.
kung credible ang evidence, kung credible ang testimony, kung tama yung mga taong tinuturo. And we believe that Mr. Patidongan has revealed to us things we have to know about what happened then. Kasi alam mo naman, Gretchen, we were in the blank. We were lost in the beginning. Nagsimula kami dito, 2022 pa. We started looking at these cases at 2022. And we seem to be facing a blank wall each time. And we knew that we needed a testimony like this to be able to crack the case open. Kasi organized crime to Gretchen, this is not an ordinary case. This is a case of organized crime. Doing the unmentionable and the dastardly act of killing people.
Has your team already identified Mr. Atong Ang as the main
Well, that's what
main...
our main witness is saying. And we expect to be filing cases soon on this matter. Kasi nga, grabe ito, Gretchen. We have to be able to live with this reality that the Sabong disappearances happen in our country. Alam mo, Sabong is such an old traditional game of the Filipino. It was treated differently. It was the only gambling activity that actually was legalized by government because it's a traditional gambling activity from the previous centuries pa. Kaya napakahalaga na malaman natin to. Alam naman natin na ang bawat bayan halos mayroong sabungan. At sa sabungan, diyan talaga meron talagang men are allowed, people are allowed to bet on their favorite sport. At para ito mangyari at magkamatayan, ibang usapan na. Kasi nga, sabi ko nga yung sabong justice nung araw, traditionally, ginugulpi lang yan eh. Tsaka dinidisplay yung mukha sa sabungan, binaban sa sabungan. Para magpapatay tayo ng tao dahil sa sabong, ibang usapan na. It takes it a level to a high level and a different level.
There are also other higher people involved here. I mean, it is believed that the senator and congressman could be involved.
Well, some people have been have appeared in many footages that we have been getting, and some of them are involved in politics, and some are coming forward. Basta some are sending word that they were merely investors, and they were not involved in the day-to-day operations. But just to say, we will take everything with a grain of salt. Siyempre, dapat dito pag-aralan. Kasi nga, we have to be able to dig deeper into this controversy kasi ang involved dito tao. These are people with families, with wives, with children, with brothers and sisters. Dapat dito, we should do complete justice to them.
Pero ito pong yung politicians na nabanggit po ninyo,
ikaw nagbanggit, Gretchen, hindi ako nagbanggit. Ikaw nagbanggit.
Ako nagbanggit. Sige po. Nakita niyo po sa video, how deep kaya yung involvement nila? I mean,
yeah, we have to dig deeper.
Okay.
Basta as days go on, we work with the case, and we find out more. We discover, whenever we discover something, we try to inform the public, except that sometimes we cannot telegraph our punches. We cannot tell you everything, Gretchen. We have to tell you as needed.
Correct.
We have to prepare a case, and we will be up against the best lawyers money can buy, as they say.
Okay. Ito pong nabanggit ni Julie Patidongan na pagtatambak sa Taal, he also said that he was not able to witness it himself. How could we make good on that and make it actually
Meron nga
credible?
videotape eh. Meron nga tayong video ng isang victim, di ba? That shows talaga na bago siya nawala, he was under the custody of these people. Kaya nga, hindi natin pwede i-doubt yan. Kasi, ba't ba siya magsasalita ng invento rito? Eh, napakalino naman, may hawak pa siyang video.
Okay. So far po, ang pinakamalakas po nating ebidensya ay ang mga videos po na ito.
Well, that's part of it. Meron din
Okay.
tayo mga dokumento, but I will not telegraph my punches.
Okay,
I'm
all
sorry.
right. Okay. Okay.
So, no,
What-
let's bring it down to 2 more questions and then I have to go.
Okay. Gretchen Barreto, what would her involvement be here?
Well, publicly she's claiming that she was just an investor. That's what she claims. We'll see.
Okay. Justice Secretary, you are also running or vying for ombudsman. I mean, why this application, and what do you think you would do for the Office of the Ombudsman?
Alam mo, Gretchen, we were the first batch to study the 1987 Constitution as a bar exam. We took the 1987 bar exam, and the 1987 Constitution contained the provision on the Ombudsman. And I've always been fascinated by that, being an answer to many problems that this country has. And up to now, I don't think it has been, the office has been matured properly. And I think that we have to bring something to the table that will make the office very effective in curbing corruption. That's a very idealistic dream, but I have held on to it since I took that bar exam with that provision on the Ombudsman. And I always think that it can be a good way to run this country when we have a good Ombudsman.
Okay. Final question po. Would you recommend rejoining the ICC? I mean, you have already mentioned that the victims' families had to go to the ICC because of the lack of evidence here and the failure of the justice system. Would you recommend us to rejoin the ICC? And what do you think?
I am neutral on that. We may and we may not. But because our legal system allows us to recognize international tribunals, and we do not have to be a member to be able to deal with them properly. But we may. It will really depend on the policy direction we will take. We will be debating on the merits of it and the demerits. But just the same, sinasabi ko nga, hindi natin kailangan sumali para ang ICC at yung ibang international tribunal ay maging relevant sa buhay natin. Justice is the most important goal of ours, and it cannot be procured here because of certain historical facts, then we go somewhere else. Basta't magkaroon ng hustisya ang mga biktima ng krimen sa ating bansa.
But to be able to strengthen the institution after, because alam po natin in 3 years magbabago po ang administrasyon, to be able to strengthen the cases on that, kailangan po ba? I mean, what would be needed to be done? We don't need to join.
I don't think we have to join. Hindi naman ganun kahalaga. Ang mahalaga, maayos natin ang justice system natin. I think that reforming the justice system is most important. And the Ombudsman's office has a lot to do with it. Kaya, that's why I'm also vying for it, I think.
O kung kayo po ay aalis na sa DOJ, paano po yung case build-up dito? I mean, what
I'm
would
not worried
the
about
transition
it. I think
look
the
like?
President and I agree
Okay.
on how to run the justice system. I think we agree on certain people that we can trust to continue with the job. But hindi pa naman tapos yan eh. I still have to go through the process, and I have to be appointed. And that it's a process that I'm applying for. And hopefully, I'll be chosen in the end.
All right, thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us today and answering our questions on these cases. We have Justice Secretary Boying Remulla on Morning Matters today. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat po. Salamat.
Stay tuned. The Morning Matters will be back after a quick break. Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho here at Morning Matters. We talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. The House prosecution team insists the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte followed proper procedure amid moves by her camp to block the trial through the Supreme Court. Here is the report.
The House prosecution panel remains confident that the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte does not violate the Constitution. This comes after the Supreme Court recently sent a notice to the House of Representatives requiring it to respond to questions raised in a petition by Duterte's camp, which seeks to halt the impeachment trial. Among the documents the Supreme Court asked the House to submit are the status of the first 3 impeachment complaints filed by private citizens against VP Duterte, the exact date when these complaints were endorsed by House members, and whether the House Secretary General has the authority to decide when to endorse such complaints to the Speaker. House lawmakers maintain that the impeachment is legally sound, stressing that it does not violate the one-year bar rule. Since the first 3 complaints were never referred to the Committee on Justice, a key step required to formally initiate the process. According to the Constitution, an impeachment is only considered initiated once it is formally referred to the Committee on Justice. Only one complaint, endorsed by over 1/3 of the House or 250 lawmakers, has reached the Senate and triggered an official impeachment process. Manila 3rd District Representative Joel Chua, a House prosecutor, expressed confidence that the Supreme Court will uphold the House's actions.
Siguro wag po nating kalilimutan na ang issue po dito ay accountability and transparency. Nagkaroon po ng issue about dito. Sana po ito po ay wag natin na babaliwalain at ito po ay dapat mas binibigyan natin ng halaga kaysa sa kung ano pamampong technical na proseso.
He also explained why the earlier complaints were not immediately referred to the Justice Committee, saying the House wanted to collate and assess all filed complaints first to avoid abuse of the one-year bar rule. Chua warned the allies of impeachable officials could exploit the rule by filing weak complaints deliberately just to shield them from stronger cases within the year.
Halimbawa po ako, kakampi po ako ng presidente. Every year na lang po magpapail ako kahit na walang kakwenta-kwentang impeachment para at least ma-meet ko yung 1 bar. Pag na-file ko na, at kung nandoon sa rule, dapat paunahan, di tatransmit lang po. The following, magantay na po lahat. So, pwede po kasi itong magamit para sa kakampi ng kung sino man ang ipapa-impeach natin.
Chua stressed that the Senate should not delay the trial, pointing out that the Supreme Court has not issued a temporary restraining order on the matter. He also warned that the delays by the Senate could ultimately lead to the expiration of the one-year window to proceed with the impeachment.
Sa delay po na nangyayari sa Senado, parang aabot na rin tayo sa one-year bar rule.
The House prosecution panel is now studying possible legal remedies in case the Supreme Court rules in favor of VP Duterte's petition.
Both chambers of Congress have filed conflicting resolutions over former President Rodrigo Duterte's request for interim release from the International Criminal Court. In the Senate, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano urged the government to support Duterte's temporary release and proposed placing him under house arrest. Meanwhile, the Makabayan bloc filed a House resolution opposing any move to support Duterte's release. Representative Laila de Lima dismissed Cayetano's proposal as political posturing, while legal experts emphasize that such resolutions carry no legal weight and are unlikely to influence the ICC's decision. To provide insights into this matter, we have retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Magandang umaga po. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Gretchen. Good morning to our viewers.
Narinig niyo po yung dalawang resolution po, one filed by Senator Alan Cayetano and the other one by the Makabayan Bloc. I believe you said that these resolutions have no bearing on the granting of the interim release. Could you expound that for us?
Well, the ICC has jurisdiction over the case now, and it's outside the jurisdiction of the Philippines now. So technically, the ICC can just ignore whatever resolutions that the House or the Senate will issue. But the substance of this is that based on earlier cases of the ICC, there are three grounds that must be complied with before an interim release can be granted. Three grounds. The first is that the accused, the host country who will accept the accused, the resolution of both houses is that the Duterte will be allowed to stay here. In the meantime, the host country has to ensure that the accused will appear at the trial, because under the ICC rules, and that's in the Rome Statute, the accused must be present at the trial, otherwise the trial cannot proceed. So, napaka-importante that the accused himself must be present at the trial. So if, for example, there is given interim release and the Philippines is allowed to host him, then we have to guarantee that at the time of the trial, he will be brought there by the Philippine government. But we don't have a treaty anymore with the ICC. We withdrew. So we don't have a legal obligation to turn him over. So the important thing is we first rejoin the ICC before we can guarantee his return. We cannot guarantee his return. And secondly, since we don't have a treaty with the ICC anymore, we're not a party anymore, Duterte can just go to the Supreme Court and ask the Supreme Court to stop any action by the government to return him. And if the Supreme Court says, okay, the government cannot return you to the ICC, then the trial cannot proceed anymore, because cannot be present at the ICC anymore. And besides, VP Sara said he will run for president in 2028, and if he wins, then with more reason she will not allow his father to be returned to the ICC. So there is no assurance. We cannot assure the ICC that we can return Duterte for purposes of the trial. So we cannot comply with the first condition. The second condition of the ICC is that the accused, once he's given interim release, will not obstruct the trial. Now, former President Duterte still has his organization here. His Davao Death Squad is still intact in the Philippines. So his supporters here will harass or intimidate the family of witnesses and victims. So that will be obstructing the trial. There can be no guarantee, because Duterte still has a lot of following here. So that second condition cannot also be complied with. And there is a third condition. The last condition is the accused, once he's given interim relief, will not continue to commit the same offense. Now, President Duterte, former President Duterte, when he ran for mayor of Davao, he publicly announced that if elected, he will continue the drug war. So if he's returned here, he will assume office as mayor and continue the drug war. He will continue to commit the same offense. He cannot comply with this. So these are very strong grounds to deny the interim relief. He cannot comply. His lawyer wrote in the motion for an interim release, said that Duterte promises not to commit the same crimes, but when he ran for mayor and he won overwhelmingly, ran for mayor for Davao, he said, if elected again, I will continue the drug war. So he'll commit the same offense. So I think there is no ground to grant the interim release, and the ICC will deny it. Thank you.
It seems it will be very, very difficult according to the grounds that you mentioned. But I just want to go back to the first ground, which is that the host country should agree or make sure that the accused will appear. Kung sakasakali po, I mean, ibig sabihin po dahil sa inyong palagay, kahit po kung naging presidente po si VP Sara Duterte in 2028 and she decides to rejoin the ICC, the Philippines could play as host country if we could assure that the former president will appear in the trial. Yun po yung sinasabi po ninyo. Pero malabo po na gagawin po niya. Tama po ba?
Well, first of all, we are not a member of ICC anymore. And there's no move to rejoin the ICC. Let us say we are now 2028. VP Sara wins the presidency. Then she will not rejoin.
If
the ICC.
she does rejoin so that we could play host country,
Well,
that could be a step.
Well, first of all, I think it's far-fetched that she will rejoin because the fathers withdrew, and I don't think he will undo what the father did, no. And she will also not turn over her father because their position is he was kidnapped. The family position is that he was kidnapped by the ICC, by the Marcos government, and brought to ICC. They have not recognized the jurisdiction of the ICC, so they will not turn him over. Because they said we don't recognize the jurisdiction of the ICC. So if you don't recognize the jurisdiction of the ICC, why will you turn over the former president to the ICC if you are already the president?
On the second ground that you mentioned, the ICC will grant an interim release on the condition that the accused will not obstruct the trial. You mentioned intimidation and harassment as being part of that. Kasama po ba doon? I mean, yung mga social media na parang pag binabash po o
Yes,
gumagawa
that's
po ng
part
mga
of
meme, it would be...
That's part of the threats. That's part of the threats. That's part of the intimidation. They're publicly saying in social media that the families will suffer if they will continue to be witnesses.
And of course, we are seeing the circulation of photos of the former president's deteriorating condition. CNN bone shot, which the vice president has already said is fake. It is a fake photo. What would you say to the argument that his human rights need to be respected and he should be granted an interim release because of his deteriorating health attributed to old age and prolonged isolation? That's from Senator Alan Peter Cayetano.
Well, first of all, he was strong enough to run for mayor. And if you're strong enough to run for mayor, the work of a mayor is very taxing. I mean, you have to meet your constituents every day, attend to their problems. So the fact that he ran for mayor and won and is willing to serve, that means he's fit to serve, to perform a very taxing job. So I don't see any problem. He cannot justify that he's now old and weak, but he decided to run. That means he thinks that he's fit to perform the demanding functions of a mayor.
Okay, let us leave that with the ICC courts to decide on. Of course, gaya po nasabi po ninyo, no, wala na po sa jurisdiction ito ng Pilipinas. Puntahan naman po natin yung nasa jurisdiction ng Pilipinas, which is the impeachment of the Vice President. I wanted to get your mind on the role of the Ombudsman here because he has already started the preliminary investigation into the spending of the Vice President's Office of Confidential Funds. Na sinabi po ni Congressman Joel Chua, there is jurisprudence stating that impeachable officials must be impeached first before a criminal case can be filed against him or her. Tama po ba siya doon? sa kanyang pagbasa nun?
Yes, if the criminal case will involve his imprisonment, the rationale behind that is if he's imprisoned, you're actually removing him from office. So
Correct.
if he and the Constitution says he can only be removed from office through impeachment. But if you file a criminal case and he's imprisoned, he has been removed from office. So that's why the impeachable officers cannot be prosecuted criminally unless they are impeached.
Ganun po ba yun? I mean, automatic po ba yun na when they have a criminal case against them, they are automatically removed from office? Hindi po ba meron tayong mga politiko
that's why what I'm saying,
nakukulong? Oo.
If the penalty involves imprisonment, then he is technically removed from office because he cannot perform his function anymore. That's equivalent to removal from office. So that's why he has to be impeached first. But if the penalty is just monetary fine, then the case can proceed. That's my opinion.
Pero hindi po ba meron tayong mga parang serving, before we had a serving senator, he was imprisoned, pero hindi
But
po
the
siya...
senators are not impeachable officers.
Okay. All right, got it. So dapat po mauna yung in your point of view. But the Congressman Joel Chua already mentioned yesterday na parang hinold na po ito ng Office of the Ombudsman. Pagdating naman po dun sa the Supreme Court is asking the House to respond to or to explain itself why it did not violate the one-year ban. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, how the impeachment complaint went through the House of Representatives. 3 complaints po yun na hindi tinanggap daw ng Secretary General kaya hindi na-transmit sa Speaker. Did they violate, in your opinion, did they violate the one-year ban?
Well, the petitioners before the Supreme Court, VP Sara and si Attorney Torion, they are claiming that the 10 session days period for the plenary of the House to act lapsed. The 10 session days lapsed and they did not act on the first complaint or the second or third complaint. So, but in the reply of the House to the answer of VP Sara before the impeachment court, they stated there the session days. Because we remember this was December and there were few session days. And from the time of filing of the first complaint, on the 10th session day, the House submitted the resolution signed by at least 1/3 of the members of the House to the Secretary General. And under another provision of the Constitution, once there is a resolution by at least 1/3 of the members of the House, that resolution on impeachment becomes the articles of impeachment and supersedes existing impeachment complaints that are still with the plenary. So the resolution of the House, signed by more than 1/3, was submitted to the Secretary General on the 10th session day. So within the 10th session day, automatically that resolution of the House superseded the first 3 impeachment complaints under the provision of the Constitution. Because it says once there is a resolution of the members of at least 1/3 of the members of the House, that resolution becomes automatically the articles of impeachment to be submitted to the Senate. And trial shall proceed forthwith. So, the issue here was that the actual, were those the actual events that happened. In other words, did the resolution of the House signed by at least 1/3, was that resolution submitted on the 10th session day?
That
If it was
is the,
submitted on the 10th session day, it superseded the first 3 impeachment complaints. So it will boil down to that. And according to the House, when they submitted the reply before the impeachment court, they laid down the dates that we complied. It was done on the 10th session day. So the Supreme Court asked for the same information from the House because the House had not yet really commented on the petitions of VP Sara and Attorney Torion. So they will submit the same answer that we did not violate the 10th session day rule because on the 10th day the resolution of 1/3 of the members of the House, at least 1/3, was submitted to the Secretary General as stated in the rules of the House. So it will boil down to that. That is, I think, the overriding issue before the Supreme Court. And if the House is correct, and I don't see any reason why they would put that in writing, and that can be verified. That's why the Supreme Court is asking for verification from the House. So if the resolution of the House signed by 1/3 at least of the members of the House was filed on the 10th session day, then that takes precedence. It overrides, it supersedes the first 3 impeachment complaints.
Do you think that the Supreme Court could answer that in time for the convening of the impeachment court? Because the first on their agenda would be to discuss the answer ad cautelam of the Vice President, tackling the same issues, the jurisdictional issues. Yung po ba, kaya po ba pag-usapan yun? I mean, among senators, kung ganun kakomplikado po itong issue na ito, kakayanin po ba ng SC maglabas ka agad?
Well, I think the Supreme Court is aware of the deadline that on the July 27th or 29th, the impeachment court will convene. That's why they issued this resolution to the House. So I think they will come out with a decision on this on time.
Okay. And the final question is, they will also vote on the motion to dismiss. How do you envision this going? If many of the senators do vote to dismiss the impeachment complaint, what other else could the prosecution team do?
Well, the impeachment court will vote to dismiss only if the Supreme Court says that the 10th day session day rule was violated. So they have a ground. But if the Supreme Court will say there was no violation, so they cannot dismiss the case because that is the ground for dismissing. The ground for dismissing in the Senate impeachment court is the 10-day session rule was violated. But if the Supreme Court already says it was not violated, they cannot dismiss it. Now, if the Supreme Court says it was violated, then they will automatically dismiss the impeachment complaint. And what will happen? The prosecution will just refile it because by January of 2026, the 1-year bar rule has expired already, would have expired already.
So mag-aantay na lang po ng konti to file again. And
Yes.
of course, it will be a different composition in the House voting for that. So all of that, kahit po wala yung word na dismissal sa Constitution?
No, because the Senate impeachment court will dismiss it based on the decision of the Supreme Court. That there was a violation. Katulad during in the Francisco case, the Supreme Court said that the resolution of the House signed by 1/3 was void because it was filed late. So the House followed it. The Senate followed that. So they will both follow whatever the Supreme Court will say.
I guess a lot will boil down on that Supreme Court decision. And we await that. Hopefully it will come out on time for the July 29 convening of the impeachment court. In the meantime, maraming salamat po for your time and insights and for explaining things to us. We have retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio.
Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you to our viewers.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day matter. My name is Gretchen Ho. We're One News, all sides, all the time.